What if you woke up one morning and realized the sun had not risen? Not a storm, not thick clouds, not an eclipse, just nothing. A flat, permanent darkness pressing against every window, every crack in the door, every gap in the curtains. You check your phone. 3:47 in the afternoon, you check again. Still 3:47. The clock on the microwave blinks the same frozen numbers. Outside, your neighbor's porch lights flicker on automatically, triggered by sensors that were never meant to run at this hour. But there is no hour anymore. There is only the dark and the quiet and the slow crawl of a question forming in the back of your mind. What happened to the sun? It has only been 6 hours. It reaches for its phone. Social media floods with jokes, memes, people tagging their friends with laughing emojis. Someone starts a trending hashtag. Late-night comedians tweet punchlines before the panic even has time to settle in. But then the scientists start talking. Not the ones with podcasts or opinion columns, the real ones. The ones who usually stay quiet. A brief statement from a major space agency confirms what no one wants to hear. Solar output has not simply dimmed, it has stopped registering on instruments entirely. And somewhere deep in the back of every person's mind, the same thought begins to surface. This is not temporary, with press conferences and reassurances and carefully worded statements designed to prevent mass panic. Power grids are kept running, grocery stores stay open, emergency broadcasts remind people to remain calm, to stay indoors, to conserve heat. For a few days, there is an almost surreal sense of normalcy. People go to work, children attend school, restaurants serve dinner under artificial lights, and for a moment, it almost feels like the world has simply agreed to pretend. But pretending has a shelf life. By the end of the first week, surface temperatures have already dropped by several degrees. You wake up and for exactly 3 seconds, everything is fine. Then you remember, the birds are gone, not migrated, not hiding, gone. The kind of absence that makes the air feel heavier, like something has been subtracted from the world without your permission. Dogs behave strangely, pacing in circles, refusing to eat, staring at walls for hours at a time. Plants begin to yellow and curl inward, as though trying to protect something soft at their center. The darkness outside is no longer just dark, it has texture now. A thickness you can almost feel when you press your hand against the glass. You start sleeping more, not because you are tired, but because sleep is the only place where the sun still exists. In your dreams, it rises every morning exactly as it always did. The researcher publishes the finding at 2 in the morning. By sunrise, which of course does not come, it has been read by 11 million people. Some say it is a government experiment gone wrong. Others claim it is a natural cosmic event, a phase the sun enters every few million years, something ancient and cyclical that humanity simply never lived long enough to witness before. A small but growing group insists the sun is still there, that something is blocking it. Something positioned precisely between the Earth and the sun, something large enough to cast a shadow across the entire planet simultaneously. Astronomers attempt to locate it, telescopes point outward, data is collected, analyzed, argued over in papers that spread faster than peer review can contain them. And then, one night, a researcher in a remote observatory captures something in the data. Not a shape exactly, more like an absence, a region of space where light bends slightly wrong, where the background stars seem to lean away from a central point, as though avoiding something they cannot name. But the memory is already beginning to blur at the edges, the way all sensory memories do when they are no longer being refreshed. This is not a metaphor, it is biology. Your circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs sleep, hunger, mood, and cognition, runs on light. Without it, the system begins to drift. People stop sleeping at consistent times. Appetite becomes erratic. Irritability sharpens into something harder, something that sits behind the eyes and does not leave. Mental health services are overwhelmed within the first month. Not because people are falling apart dramatically, but because they are doing it quietly, in small ways in the spaces between conversations, like they are waiting for something. And they do not seem afraid. Not in the sky, in the people. Reports begin emerging from isolated communities, small towns, rural areas with limited connectivity, places where the group psychology has had time to ferment without outside interference. People in these places have stopped trying to restore normalcy. They have built something else instead. Rituals. Routines centered not around reclaiming the light, but around accommodating the dark. They sleep in shifts. They speak in quieter voices. They have begun, according to the reports, to feel more comfortable in the darkness than they ever did in the light. And in comment sections and message boards and quiet conversations between people who are trying very hard to stay calm, everyone is asking the same question, not drifted, moved. With what the researchers carefully describe as directionality, it is closer now than it was 3 weeks ago. Not dramatically closer, Not in a way that would make headlines if the world were not already consumed by a different kind of fear. But closer. The lead researcher on the project releases a second paper. It is dense with mathematics and careful language, but buried in the conclusion is a single sentence that cuts through all of it. The object, if it is an object, appears to be responding to electromagnetic signals originating from Earth. Responding. Not reflecting, not absorbing. Responding. No one can explain what that means. No one tries to, publicly. And somewhere in the dark something moves. It has become a habit, this standing and watching, even though there is nothing to see. Just the dark and the distant glow of streetlights and the occasional movement of a neighbor crossing their yard with a flashlight. But tonight something is different. The streetlights at the far end of the road have gone out. Not flickered, not dimmed, just gone. One by one, in a slow and deliberate sequence moving toward your house. You watch the darkness advance light by light and you feel something you cannot quite name. Not fear exactly, something older than fear, something that lives underneath it. Your phone buzzes. A message from a number you do not recognize, no name, no area code, just a string of digits that does not match any format you have ever seen.